Good morning, everyone. Welcome to those who are gathered here in the sanctuary and to all who are joining us online today. Let's begin this morning with a musical prelude from John Mayhood.
Al, I'm listening to the Unitarian Church now. The Unitarian Church, it's Sunday morning. I thought you might want to come listen with me. Will you come?
Who is talking to whom?
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Charlottesville. My name is Reverend Tim Temerson. My pronouns are he and him, and I am pleased to be weaving worship this morning with Reverend Leah Durland-Jones, accompanist John Mayhood, and our special guests, the Ravenna Shape Note Singers.
You can move my walker
Yes,
out
indeed.
of the way. You come over close to me so you can see.
This sanctuary was built over 70 years ago on the homeland of the Monacan people and was once cared for by enslaved people from Africa and their descendants. We honor all who have dwelt here and all in our congregation whose lives led to this moment of our gathering. I invite us now to take a moment to greet others. Those online may unmute and say hello, and those here in the sanctuary or social hall are welcome to greet your neighbors, especially those you may not know.
I don't know very many people there anymore. Here's Frank Dukes, I know him.
Goodness gracious. That's fine. They're excited, Reverend Leah. They're just glad to be here. We offer a special welcome to newcomers and invite you to join us for fellowship after the service in the social hall. Please feel free to use one of our red coffee mugs, which are for visitors, and we encourage you to stop by the connections table near the monitor in the social hall. Seating is also available in the hall where there is a live stream of the service. Everyone is welcome here in the sanctuary, but if you need a roomier space, the social hall can be a good option. Many thanks to everyone helping us share worship here and online, greeters, ushers, hospitality, logistics, and special thanks to the fabulous Rachel Buckland. And I might add, and you'll hear more about this in a minute, the newly married Rachel Buckland. Supporting the dual platform worship both online and here on Rugby Road. So I don't think the person who I thought was going to do the board greeting, I don't see Jimmy here today, so I'll do the board greeting. I'm an ex officio member of the board, which means that I don't get to vote, but I talk way too much at the meetings. And the board is doing great work right now. You're going to be hearing a lot about soon to be starting strategic or long-range planning process, and where we really dig in on how we're going to live that wonderful mission that we adopted last spring. So stay tuned for more information on that. Here are a few announcements this morning. Following the service, join your church friends and family in some pumpkin carving and decorating outside the social hall and around the labyrinth. Carving tools, paint, and cleaning supplies will be provided. And if you didn't remember to bring a pumpkin, we have a few extras. We are once again collecting donations of cleaning products and non-perishable Thanksgiving dinner items for local community members in need in partnership with our good friends at Ebenezer Baptist Church. There's a donation bin out in the hallway, so please give generously. Many thanks to all who helped out and attended the Elders Brunch yesterday. How many of you were there? Wonderful. What a great event. The weather was perfect, and just a big thank you to all the volunteers and organizers who made it possible. Later today at 3:30 in Old Cabell Hall at UVA, our very own John Mayhood will be performing along with Maximilian McNutt as part of the UVA Chamber Music Series. We all know what a fabulous musician John is, so I think I can safely predict this is going to be a wonderful recital. And all are welcome to join us for refreshments and conversation today in the social hall following the service. So as I alluded to a minute ago, today we are very blessed to welcome the Ravenna Shape Note Singers, led this morning by John Alexander and Diane Ober. Shape Note singing is a continuous practice that was part of a folk tradition that began in the late 1700s in New England. There are several ingenious innovations that it incorporates, including a movable do, which is pronounced do, that helps tailor the song to the voices who show up to sing that day. And as John wrote us in an email, he said, Shape Note singing is not for performance. We do this because we love it. We sing for ourselves and each other. That said, we're delighted to be able to share this love with you today. And if Shape Note singing sounds exciting to you, and I'm guessing it's going to sound exciting to a lot of us, please join them. We sing monthly, and there will be a sign-up list in the social hall after the service. And I'll just add that the Ravenna Shape Note singers, they've been singing together for over 30 years, though most here today have come to the group and to Shape Note singing much more recently. So, with all that said, welcome.
Follow so
Of course.
For our call to worship this morning, we honor the ways of Celtic ancestors as we invite the four directions to our worship and to our beings. Our direction calls were written by church member Bonnie Hansen, and we thank her for sharing them. Please join with us as instructed. Spirits of the East, powers of air, we welcome you into our circle, into our bodies. We bring energy into our hands by rubbing them together briskly, and we place them on our rib cages and feel the movement of filling and emptying, in and out, bringing light, bringing life-giving breath to our lungs, to our blood, to our very cells. Breath of the goddess, be here now.
Spirits of the South, powers of fire, we welcome you into our circle, into our bodies, rubbing our hands together as we feel the warmth and energy there. We place our hand on our hearts and feel the reassuring thump, 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 pushing and pulling, sending heat and nourishment, filling us with love and renewal. Heart of the goddess, be here now.
Be here now. Microphone.
Don't forget to hold it up, John.
It's in the microphone in the pulpit.
Hold the light up. There you go. Oh, you need a mic too.
Spirits of the West, powers of water, we welcome you into our circle, into our bodies. Rubbing our hands together, we notice the comfort this creates, and then we wrap ourselves in our own embrace, an embrace that holds both our sadness and our joy, our loneliness and our connection, our anger and our relief. Tears of the goddess, be here now.
Be here now.
Be here now.
Spirits of the North, powers of earth, we welcome you into our circle and into our bodies. We rub our hands together and clasp them, feeling their heat and the intricate structure connecting us to this planet of metal and rock. We feel the magic of our crystalline framework and the muscles that move it, the energy that moves us. We feel our body's strength and connection to the earth. Wisdom of the goddess, be here now.
Be here now. Libations are offered in thanks to the ancestors. John, will you pour the water? Thank you.
We're hoping that you're inspired to do something a cappella. We're going to do hymn number 389. Works but you can find it in the book. I'm going to hit a pitch. We're all going to sing it together. Oh, okay. All right. I've been told I don't need a mic, but I do need a mic, so I'm going to do the right thing. So I'll hit a pitch. We'll all sing it through twice in unison, and then we're going to break into a 4-part round. And I've got 4 ringers, including me, who are going to stand up here and help us move into those 4 parts. So we're thinking the first part, let me just walk through this so you got some sense of the conception. We'll have the first part be these 3 first cues. The first part here. The second part will be these 4 pews. We'll go to here in the second part. Then the third part will be from here on back on this side, and the fourth part from here on back on this side. Balcony is welcome to join in to any part that feels moving to you. So we'll sing twice through in unison, and then we'll move into the round. The first part will be cued here, and each of the folks will cue your part when you're supposed to start. So it's going to be something like la, la, fa, la, fa, la.
That beautiful round. We are so, so grateful. Now I'd like to invite Sunny DeVoe to come forward to light the flame of our chalice this morning. And as Sunny lights the chalice, over there, there's a lot going on, I know. Please join me in saying our unison chalice lighting words. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together. And now let's do our hand motions, which Reverend Leah is going to be here because she knows I'm still a little choppy on this. So put your hand out this way. Yep, match. We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is the church of the open minds. This is the church of the helping hands. This is the church of the loving hearts.
It is time now, as we do every year in this service, to create our own ancestors' altar, to recognize and remember and honor our ancestors and other beloveds who have passed on. Those of us in the sanctuary will, in a moment, place pictures and mementos on our sanctuary altar. And the photos that were submitted electronically prior to the service will be shared. Those of you here on Rugby Road may have noticed that there are yellow slips of paper and pens in your pew. If you will please pass those out to anyone who would like to write a name or a note or a remembrance for a beloved, so that we all may be able to come forward and take part in creating our ancestors' altar. Everyone is also invited at some point today to create a small altar in your own home, perhaps on your dining table or coffee table or windowsill. If you have photos of loved ones who have died or something that reminds you of them, perhaps a book or a flower or a piece of jewelry, you might place these items there to help you remember. Today, October 29th, is the Sunday closest to Halloween, an old tradition in many cultures. The Old English meaning is hallowed or holy evening. Halloween is the evening before the observance of All Souls' Day on November 1st, when we honor those who have died, our ancestors. In pagan and earth-centered traditions, this observance is called Samhain. It is a deep and basic human need to remember those who came before us, those whose lives and loves and work and dreams led to this moment, to us and to our families, both biological and chosen today. Those participating in worship online are invited to notice the things in your home, perhaps pictures nearby or other things that help you remember your ancestors. Those here on Rugby Road are invited to come forward now and add your items to the altar at this time as we all bear witness to our ancestors.
Now I'd like to invite you to join with me in a very powerful responsive reading that comes to us from the Jewish tradition, Rabbi Roland Gittleson. The words are actually in the hymnal. The response, I didn't put it up on the screen, it's just, we remember them. So I'll do most of the reading and then I'll cue you and you just respond, we remember them. As the rising of the sun and its going down, as the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter. At the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, at the blueness of the skies and in the warmth of summer. At the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, at the beginning of the year and when it ends.
We remember them.
When we are weary and in need of strength.
We remember them.
When we are lost and sick at heart.
We remember them.
When we have joy we yearn to share.
We remember them.
As long as we live, they too will live, for they are now part of us, and we
remember them. Please join me in prayer. For those in our extended human family who came before us or walked with us and are of the earth no more, we offer gratitude and thanks. May their memories be a blessing. Where there is ache, may there be peace. Where there is loss, may there be ease. May we feel surrounded and held by the love that is larger than us all. May we see ourselves as part of the wider circle of life and feel connected to those we miss and love. And to those ancestors we never met in person, but whose very lives are what made it possible for us to be here today, we offer thanks. Let our spirits be fed and inspired by the courage, the wisdom, and dreams of the collective ancestors. Let us honor them by doing the work of living boldly, loving mightily, and working to co-create heaven on earth. Amen, and blessed be.
To you.
Friends, we are an interconnected community that cares for one another. Part of how we embody this care is by making time each week to share the joys and sorrows we hold in our hearts. So due to time constraints this morning, we won't be doing the ritual where you come forward with the stones, but please know that we do have a pastoral care team member, Bob Brett, and Bob will be available for a few minutes after the service, right over there in the back corner. If you are in need of pastoral support, or maybe you just need someone to listen this morning, those online can connect with the pastoral care team at pastoral@uucharlottesville.org. This community offers its love and support to what is closest to our hearts. Another way we show that care for one another is in sharing our financial gifts with our community and our congregation. Our social action collection for the month of October has been for Sin Barreras, whose mission is to empower immigrants and their families in Central Virginia with a focus on the Latinx population by educating, advocating, and supporting their needs. Rachel, will you show us the social action slide for giving for those who would like to make a donation right now? In addition to giving online, if you'd like to give today with cash or check, please use the social action collection envelopes here in the sanctuary. Place your offering in the collection plates when they come around. Along with the social action collection, each week we invite everyone to the spiritual practice of generosity by giving to the ministry of our congregation. Through your pledges and your weekly Sunday morning offerings, together our financial gifts support and sustain our congregation. This is our shared ministry. So during the music that follows, you may choose to make your Sunday morning offering by using the text address or by going to our website here in the sanctuary. You may place cash or checks in the collection plates as they are passed. So let us now dedicate all of the many gifts we share with one another by saying, "We accept your gifts with gratitude. May we use them wisely for the highest good." very much for your generosity. So today, as you know, is Ancestor Sunday, the time when we gather to experience our ongoing sense of loss or grief, and also to remember the beloveds who we love but have lost. Our memories of them are a blessing, and they journey with us all of our days. Earlier last week, during the board meeting when we were checking in, our own Chris Little, and for his check-in, shared that it was the anniversary of his mother's passing quite a few years ago. And I know I and everyone on the board were just moved by what Chris said about his mom, and also how his family really is very intentional about remembering her and other family who are gone. So I decided to invite Chris if he would just come up and to the pulpit and for a few minutes and just share a few thoughts with us. Thank you, Chris.
Good morning, everybody. That check-in tradition or practice that we have in our board meeting is a really beautiful practice, to invite people before we start the business of the agenda to just share a little bit about what's on their mind or in their heart. And it really, it's very powerful in terms of inviting us in, our whole selves. And as Tim said, it happened, the board meeting happened to be on the day that was my mother's anniversary. She died in 1982. And October 25th actually begins a 16-day period for my family where we celebrate and grieve with a bit more intensity, I suppose, than the rest of the year. My mother and my father and my oldest brother. My dad died in 1977, so 5 years before my mother, and within a year of him dying, she became sick with terminal illness and died about 5 years later. And then suddenly in 2018, my brother Pather, my oldest brother, I'm one of 10, and he's the reason that I live in Charlottesville. He died suddenly. Right actually in the middle of that 16-day period. So there's some symmetry in all of it. But my dad knew he was going to die for a few months, and so he gathered us around his bed. His 9 children, his oldest Pather was already living in America. And my dad gathered us around his bed, and he talked to us a lot about the journey of life and of death. And as a matter of fact, on my phone here, I have 5 minutes of audio from my dad on his deathbed, which is some of the most reassuring and reaffirming words one could ever want to hear about death from somebody who is on the cusp. And so my family, you know, we are close. There are 9 of us left, and we're on WhatsApp, and every day there's a communication. But in particular, during this period, we are sharing and growing together in our grief and in our celebration of my father and my mother and my brother Pather. But as a child, and I'm sure there are others here who encountered death younger than they expected, you start asking questions about life and death and the meaning, and part of it is just so you can cope, but then it becomes something even more, so that you can really grow into an experience of a life that assumes death instead of fears it. And so I've always been interested. I've always read people who have views on life and death and the interconnectedness of all of us. And one quote from French philosopher, theologian, and paleontologist Pierre de Chardin, he says, "We're not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience." And there's something about that that resonates with me, that we are bigger, we are part of something bigger, and we are bigger than the humanity that we can relate to in the immediateness. And I shared with the group on Wednesday kind of how how the influences of many others. Eckhart Tolle is another who I've read a lot and listened to a lot. And I shared with the group on Wednesday a metaphor that I also shared with my siblings, and it's one that has been very helpful to me, not just in relation to death, but actually in relation to life, and also the interdependent web of all existence, right? Our seventh principle, we talked about that, and it's, when I read that principle first, I thought in terms of all living existence, but then when I read it again, I thought in all existence, to all of time. And so I'll leave you with the metaphor that I shared with folks on Wednesday that has been tremendously helpful to me. It's a metaphor that I've encountered to explain one life in relation to all life, is that of an ocean wave. Each life is unique and essential to the ocean's expression, and it is also a very small ripple on the surface of a very big ocean, not separate from, but connected to all other waves. The metaphor extends to death too, in that when the wave ceases to be, the water remains. For me, this helps explain how Daddy and Mammy, who died over 40 years ago, are still so present in our lives, even though their waves expired many decades ago. So I hope this metaphor is helpful to all of you too, as you think of those who are still with us, but especially those who have passed before us. Thank you.
So I want to talk a minute about a different kind of family member. And hopefully all of us can think, especially if you're a younger person in the room, about somebody who might be important to you, but that you're actually not related to them. Like they might be a chosen family member for you. So I'm going to invite everybody to think back to maybe when you were 5, maybe you are 5, or 6 or 7 or 8, and was there anybody in your life who acted like a family member to you, even though you weren't related to them? Someone who was kind to you, who loved you, maybe in ways that felt a little bit different from your parents or your grandparents, who saw you for you, or saw things in you that the rest of your family couldn't quite see or notice or appreciate. I invite you to think on that. And if nobody's coming to mind right now, invite yourself to just muse on that in the coming week. So last Sunday, as we were preparing for Ancestors Sunday, I invited you to do some thinking, and I did some thinking too, and I came up with an ancestor that I want to share with you today that I hadn't thought about in a long time. So Rachel's going to show you a picture of where I grew up. So I grew up in a place called Lake Ransom Canyon, which is in West Texas. It's about 30 minutes outside of Lubbock. And when you look at this picture, you're looking at the top of the canyon rim. And my house was actually down in the canyon, so when I would ride my bicycle, I'd have to ride up the hill to get around up to the houses that were on the top. But I was a kid, and I liked riding my bike, and it was a time in life when kids could just go ride their bikes everywhere and not wear helmets, and, you know, just, it was a different kind of time. And I had this memory this last week of a woman who I haven't thought about in forever, whose name was Edna Houghton. And what was interesting to me as I thought about her is she was a grandmother figure for me, so important to me when I was 6, 7, 8, out riding my bicycle from my house to her house, because she really loved me in a special way. She invited me into her home. She would cook for me special little dishes, things that I didn't get to eat at my house, like she made shrimp salad for me. And that was iceberg lettuce, some frozen shrimp, and some mayonnaise. And it was really good. We didn't have that at my house. And then I had memories of her in this big old honker car that she had driving me into town to take me out to dinner. We would go out for Chinese food together. So we had these special things, and I knew I could go hang out at her house, that she would be happy to see me. She would ask me about my life. She would connect with me. And it wasn't actually till I began thinking this last week about somebody who had loved me for no reason other than they were extending their heart in an open and gracious way. But I looked at her obituary and I realized that the reason I knew her was because she was a retired professor of architecture at Texas Tech, a woman who was one of the first professors in that field and at that time. And the architecture department was connected to the art department where my father was a professor. So my parents actually knew her, and my dad had somewhat of a professional relationship with her, but our friendship wasn't about that at all. It was about this adult, this gracious, loving adult who opened her heart to me, who modeled a kindness, a way of being, a generosity, new things to eat and try, helping me feel special and loved. So I wanted to honor her today for Ancestors Sunday. And I want to invite all of us, if you're a young person, to think about who are the adults in my life who might want to be friends with me, who might invite me into their circle of chosen family. Who are the adults around me that I'm interested in asking questions to or learning more about? And if you're a grown-up, I want to invite you to look around and see who are the children in my life that I might be able to extend my circle and welcome them in. We all need chosen family members, and they're out there. So if you're a grown-up, widen your circle to include some young people. And if you're a young person, look and see who might have some wisdom or something interesting that you want to learn more about. And in the holy name of Edna Houghton, I honor her today.
Thank you, Reverend Leah. Thank you. Maybe if you're young, an adult who you think might know a really good Chinese restaurant.
Yes. Or other food.
Or other food, yes, absolutely. So now, before we close our service and have a closing song from the Shape Note Singers and a benediction, I just want to invite us to take a couple of minutes to have a kind of a calling of the names. So how this works is basically here in the sanctuary, when we begin, you may just speak a name or names out loud as you are moved. If you are joining us online, please type the name or names of ancestors who have died but are living in your heart. Please type those into the chat. And I'll begin by naming my mother, Mary Temerson, who died about 14 years ago. So just shout out and call out names as you are so moved. May the names that have been spoken today typed on. May those blessed spirits journey with us, and may their memories always be a blessing. Sorry. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to our guest musicians, the Shape Note Singers, the Rivanna Shape Note Singers. It has been a blessing to have you with us today. As Reverend Tim extinguishes the chalice, I offer these words of benediction. As our service of remembrance draws to a close, may the wisdom, the courage, and the strength of all the ancestors stay with us this day and always. May we find comfort in our collective stories and memories, and may these beloveds live on in our hearts. Go in peace and love. Amen, and blessed be.